Welcome to the 9th annual Dawn and Myra Ball Education Builds Hope Luncheon. I'm Nancy Cox of LEX18, and I'm happy to host you today. Thanks for joining us during this most different and difficult of times. While we can't all gather at the Cara House as we usually do, we can still support and celebrate a life-changing program, One Parent Scholar House. This is going to be such a special program for you. While many of you may be watching from home today, you'll also be invited into some of our college scholars' homes. More than 80 families call One Parent Scholar House home. And home, especially in these times, is a place to feel safe, to be cared for, and to grow a family. Our scholars are caring for their children in a safe, supportive atmosphere while they are empowering themselves through higher education. One Parent Scholar House is a house with a powerful purpose. Empowering through higher education. Our mission. One Parent Scholar House helps single parents earn a post-secondary degree by providing affordable housing for their families, on-site care and development for their children, counseling, and support from a community of staff and neighbors. At One Parent Scholar House, we help single parents become strong, educated heads of household. The parents and children living here are breaking the chains of poverty through education and creating healthy, stable lives for themselves and their children. We help them with a place to call home, safe housing. Affordable housing is hard to find, especially for a single parent with little support. Each family has an apartment to call home. One Parent Scholar House partners with the Lexington Housing Authority to provide 80 housing choice vouchers to single parents. 5-star care for kids, child care and development. The One Parent Scholar House Child Development Center is a 5-star developmental curriculum-based program in partnership with Early Head Start and Head Start. We challenge children to learn and prepare them fully for kindergarten in a warm atmosphere filled with friends, wholesome food, and fun. A loving community, counseling, and support. Counseling, referrals, and other services help residents learn and polish life skills and keep excelling after leaving the program. One Parent Scholar House staff helps residents with problems and personal and educational goals. Monthly workshops address subjects like parenting, personal finance, problem solving, work skills, single parent rights, and health maintenance. And it's all possible because of you, our supporters, and our amazing community partners. Well, this program and this great event would not be possible without each of you. Thank you to our title sponsor, Dawn and Myra Ball and Ball Homes. Our presenting sponsor, Kathy Jacobs and the Don Jacobs Senior Charitable Foundation. Thank you to our magna cum laude sponsor, UK Office of Philanthropy, and our cum laude sponsors, Computer Services and Solutions, PNC Bank, US Bank, Wabuck Development Company, Incorporated. Please see the full sponsor list in the event program you have received by email. And don't forget to bid on the silent auction items. You can do so right now on this platform, and bidding will be open until 5 p.m. today. One Parent Scholar House residents not only have a place to call home, but they're working hard to earn their college or trade school degrees. And while they're reaching their educational goals, their children are cared for at the One Parent Scholar House Child Care Center. To show you around the Child Care Center today, here are Janice James and Mersada Simic.
Welcome to One Parent Scholar House. I am Janice James, the Interim Executive Director of the Hope Center, and we have the honor and the privilege of managing One Parent Scholar House. We are disappointed that we are not all together at the Carrick House for the Dawn and Myra Ball Education Builds Hope Lunch, but we are grateful to have you all here with us today. One Parent Scholar House is such a special place, and we are excited to show you around. To help us do so, I'd like to introduce Marsada Simic. She is the Program Director for One Parent Scholar House. She has been here for 20 years, and she does an excellent job in providing direction for this life-changing program.
Thank you, Janice. It is my honor to be here today. We are here in the infant room of One Parent Scholar House. While our 80 parents attend post-secondary education, this is where their little ones are. At our 5 Stars Child Development Center, we care for children from 6 weeks to 5 years old. This allows our single parents to be able to earn their degrees as they know their children are safe and well taken care of. The babies cared for in this room enjoy consistent and nurturing environment, giving them a great foundation to be developmentally ready to move on to the next classroom. When you help us, you're impacting 2 generations of scholars. The kids cared for here, with school readiness as our goal, and our parents to earn their degrees. I can tell you from being here for 20 years, One Parent Scholar House creates a stronger family, a more successful head of the family that's empowered by education and well-prepared child. Thank you for making this happen, and thank you for visiting us today. Now back to our lovely Nancy.
Thank you for the tour, ladies. What happens at One Parent Scholar House is truly powerful and life-changing for the children and parents alike. And there's no one better to tell you about this than the residents who are living here or who have benefited from the Scholar House. Let's hear from Cheryl Lane, a current resident, and Katrina Bowman Thomas, who is a past resident.
I'm a PhD candidate at the University of Kentucky, finishing up my dissertation. My son's 13. His name is Raphael. He lives with me full time. He's like this amazingly brilliant kid. He's so he has a lot of empathy for other people. Before we came here, we were living in this kind of expensive apartment off of Tate's Creek, kind of struggling to get by. Graduate student salaries are not the best. Sometimes I had to work over the summer to make some extra money, and we had some issues with, food security, for example. Being here has really helped out my career in a lot of different ways. Being a graduate student, I don't earn a lot of money, so there's a lot of stress that comes with having to pay a lot of bills and having to maintain my son and I without the child support from his father, for example. So I'm basically like the breadwinner and then some. Not having to worry as much about those financial preoccupations has provided me the ability to be a little bit more free with my own work. Another thing that's been really cool is that my son and I have been able to take a few trips to Comic Cons. We're both pretty big fans of anime, video games, and we've met some really cool people. The coolest one by far was the guy who voices Mario, and we have this awesome poster in the living room that the voice actor signed, and we have some pictures. He's also been able to explore a little bit of his own interests. For instance, recently he's gotten into his mind that he wants to build his own computer, and so we actually have a little bit of extra money that we can use for that, which has been really helpful in me supporting his personal goals and helping him to achieve those outside of school. That wouldn't have been possible without the support that I've received here. And one of the things I have to say is all of the people here are really amazing. All of my neighbors are awesome. We look out for each other. And that sense of community, even if we're not best friends, but knowing that there are other people who are involved in the same process and who get what's going on, that's super amazing to me and has really made a humongous impact on my perception of feeling alone. So I don't feel alone anymore.
My name is Katrina Bowman Thomas, and I am a former resident of Virginia Place, One Parent Scholar House. And I'd like to just take a few moments to share with you about my background and how instrumental Virginia Place was to my success. I'm originally from Madisonville, Kentucky, and I received a full scholarship to the University of Kentucky, and I did really well in my first year. But in my second year, I lost my way and I failed out of school. All of my grades dropped, and I started hanging with the wrong crowd. And again, I just lost my way. And I looked up and I found myself pregnant. I was pregnant. I failed out of school, and I really just didn't have any direction. And I knew in that moment that I had to do something different with my life. I did not want to become a statistic. I did not want to become, as we've heard the statistics so many times, another single black mother that was in poverty and a child that was brought up in poverty. All of the odds were stacked against me. And I just knew that I had to do something. I knew that I had to figure out how to get back into school so that I could change the trajectory for my son and for me. And so I was living in Lexington. I was working, but I knew I couldn't work and afford childcare and go to school full time. So I began to just try to look to see, are there any resources out there? Is there anything that could help me to get my life back on track, to get started where I really wanted to be? And someone told me about Virginia Place. And so I called and I set up an appointment, and I went and I was able to tour the facility, and I saw the child care center, and I saw the beautiful apartment, and I put in my application that day. That day I applied. And every day I waited, like, oh gosh, I can't wait for them to call me. I got to get in. And finally, they called me. I got in, and I cried because I knew that is what we needed to get our lives back on track. So we moved in and had a beautiful 2-bedroom apartment. They were brand new at that time. I think they were a year old. My son, he came into the apartment. He ran all around the apartment and had his little bed, and it was just beautiful. And I was able every day just to take him right across the street to childcare, to drop him off to teachers that I knew that cared about him. At the end of the day, they would always give me good reports about him. And he was able to build really good friendships while we were there. He was young, and we were all single mothers at that time, so we all sort of bonded together, and our children all bonded together. We were all going through the same thing, so it was so important and so helpful to have that network. So when we had a bad day, there was someone right there that we could lean on and talk to and walk through things with each other. And I would watch someone's child so they could get a break, and they would watch my child so I could get a break. So just the network of us all there together just helped us to stay focused and really geared toward the future. And one thing that was so good about my son being there, he had a really good start in his education, because we know how important it is for children to get to kindergarten on grade level. And when he got to kindergarten, they noticed he was really good in math. And when he got to the 2nd grade, he was promoted to 4th grade math. So he was always ahead, and I attribute that to his beginning at Virginia Place. And so we stayed there, had a very good time there, just good friendships and connections. I went on and graduated with a bachelor's degree in family studies from University of Kentucky. We stayed and lived in Lexington. I got married. I had 2 other children. My son, Caleb, he graduated from high school. Then he went on to University of Kentucky. From there, he transferred to Southern Indiana, where he studies civil engineering. I worked at Community Action Council in Lexington for 19 years, and then 2 years ago, I got a job here. I'm in Northern Kentucky now, at Northern Kentucky Community Action Commission as the executive director. And I know that one of the main reasons that I'm here and that I've been able to achieve so many of the goals that I had is because of the foundation that I had at Virginia Place, because I had a safe, affordable place to live. I had a place that embraced me, a place that actually helped me to see that I could become all the things that I wanted to become, that not only poured into me, that also poured into my son, to make sure that we were not the statistic. And I can say today that we have broken every one of those statistics. And it's not just me, but every person that ever comes through Virginia Place. I know that we all are better, we're all stronger, we're all wiser because of everything that was poured into us. So I just say thank you to everyone that gives, that continues to give, to allow this program to be what it is. It's foundational to people's lives, and it helps people to accomplish their dreams. So again, I just say thank you, and I'm so glad to be a legacy of One Parent Scholar House.
Thank you, ladies, for welcoming us into your homes and for sharing your experiences. You are why we are all participating in today's event. Thank you. Remember the great silent auction items you have to bid on. We've made it easy. You can do it right here. And that auction goes until 5 p.m. today. To introduce today's featured speaker, please welcome an amazing supporter of One Parent Scholar House, Kathy Jacobs. Let's head over to her home.
Cara Brookins is the mom who literally built her own home by using YouTube tutorials. After surviving domestic violence, she was faced with the stark challenge of providing for her 4 children. With no one to turn to but herself, in desperate need of a home but without the means to buy one, she did something incredible. She built one from scratch while rebuilding her family. Equipped only with YouTube videos, Cara and a crew comprised of her 4 children poured concrete, framed walls, and laid brick for their 2-story, 5-bedroom, 3,500 square foot house. Cara is the author of 8 books, including Rise, How a House Built a Family. You may have seen her on shows like The Today Show and Inside Edition, or read stories about her in the New York Times, Good Housekeeping, and Southern Living. Her memoir was optioned for film, Rise, which will be released as a major motion picture featuring A-list actors in 2020. Cara's story is an inspiring blueprint that traces her family's rise from battered victims to stronger, better versions of themselves, all thanks to one impossible, extraordinary do-it-yourself project. Please welcome Cara Brookins.
I'm so excited to be here with you guys today. And I know we would all rather be meeting in person, but this whole virtual meeting thing, it's starting to feel kind of like my life story come full circle. Because I know with all the extra time you guys have had at home with quarantine, I know you've been clicking on some how-to videos, right? Like how to bake quarantine bread or fix your washing machine or rebuild a motorcycle. Yeah, 3 easy steps. That's how they get you. And that is how quickly we all get in over our heads too, right? Which is exactly what happened to me. Except instead of my kitchen, I ended up in the middle of an empty field with 2x4s, pipes, nails, bricks, and a whole lot of stubborn. But I hadn't Googled how to build a house because I was bored. I was actually desperate. I was a single mom with 4 kids. I'd lost my entire life savings. I was about to lose my house. I'd made some bad choices. Today, I want to share that story with you about some of those choices and how they eventually led my kids and I to build this entire house in order to change the direction of our lives. But first, I need to come clean on something. Building a house doesn't look like this. Building a house is messy. It's sweaty, stinky. Most of the time, I had no idea what I was doing. That's how we all look and feel when we reach for a big goal, isn't it? That's why I want to share this. Because when I was out there starting over with my house and my family, I was also starting over with the way that I reached for a big goal. And the ideas that I had out there with mud and 2x4s, they worked so well I'm still using them. And guys, I know you can use the same ideas to face whatever sort of a hard thing you're up against next. But so you can see how I got there to a place where I thought that kind of a hair day was worth it. I want to tell you what happened about 10 years earlier. I was married to a guy named Adam. Super smart guy. He was a pilot and an inventor. But a couple months after we got married, he started acting a little bit strange. At first, he's just staring out the window for 20 hours at a time. A couple of months later, I noticed he's getting really paranoid. And I start finding him at 2 a.m. in our dining room, tapping Morse code messages against the wall. Then he started to get scarier and scarier until, guys, this one morning I woke up and I had all of our kitchen knives lined up around me in the bed. And that's when Adam was diagnosed with severe paranoid schizophrenia. And he became really dangerous. So we divorced. But for the next 10 years, he kept coming back. He was tormenting me and tormenting my children. You know, sometimes they were so scared. He'd come by in the middle of the night while they were sleeping and paint little symbols all over the outsides of their bedroom windows. There were days that we came home from work and school and I found my pets tortured. And more than once, I had to hold Adam at gunpoint. We were scared all the time. And while all of this was going on, I met this muscled up firefighter. He saw what was happening with me and the kids, and he swore he'd do anything to help keep us safe. And instead, I started waking up with his hands around my throat, squeezing hard enough to leave these long lines of bruises, letting me know he could kill me anytime he wanted. We were scared again all the time. What he had really wanted was the perfect victim. And that was us, because I couldn't leave. Adam was still out there coming after us. Now I couldn't go to sleep in my own bed at night and feel safe. And it was 3 years of that additional fear and abuse before the kids and I escaped and were on our own again. By then, the kids were 17, 15, 11, and 2. Hope, Drew, Jada, and Roman. These kids were tough. They had to be. But they'd also gotten to be really clingy. Guys, I had a great job, thankfully, but I was starting over financially. And I went into that job every day feeling like I was pretending to be this kind of bold, put-together woman. But inside, I felt small and powerless. Guys, I don't know. I just felt like I was stuck. I was just starting over. I felt so low that I wasn't sure I had what it took to get us out of all of that. But then there was this one day, it's an ordinary Tuesday, where I had an idea that changed the way I saw everything. Really, it was just sort of a perspective shift. I was driving all these kids to school because I've also been always a real overachiever mom. I know. I was cooking all the kids a gourmet breakfast. You know, the blueberry Pop-Tart right there over the car heat vent. I live by Little Rock, Arkansas. So in the summer, I can fry some eggs up there on the dashboard. This was fall, otherwise known as Pop-Tart season in our family. If any of you are overachievers, I'm happy to swap some overachiever breakfast ideas with you on Instagram. But that morning, as I served breakfast to the back seat, I saw all of my kids in the mirror. And you guys, what I saw were these slumped shoulders, these haunted eyes. What I saw for these kids were these really small futures. And I realized time was running out. I decided right then that day, I'm going to fix this. I'll do anything to build these kids a better life, or just give them a safe place to live. So that afternoon, I was brainstorming. I decided to take a shower, where all great ideas are born, am I right? And I realized that I had done some really hard things. I figured out how to do some hard, complex things in my life. I was thinking back to this time when I was only 7, and the only thing I wanted in life was a talking parrot. Now, all I knew about talking parrots was that mine was going to need a house. And I may have mentioned that to mom and dad 600 or 900 times. So they let me dive into this scrap lumber pile we had at the back of the garage with a hammer and a little cup of nails. Now, I didn't know how to build a parrot house or, well, anything, but I nailed a couple of pieces of wood together. And I had a little hand saw, and I skipped my favorite TV show. And after several nights, I had a parrot house. If you can kind of picture like a patchwork quilt, but made of scrap lumber. I was proud of it, though. I could imagine my parrot stepping in and saying, "Squawk, home sweet home." Slowly, though, I realized that permission to build a parrot house did not equal permission to build a parrot. So after a few months of trying to capture a talking parrot in the wilds of rural Wisconsin, the family dog Snoopy moved in. I was still really proud of it though, guys. I had no idea how to do this, but I had figured it out. And as the water in my shower that afternoon is going cold, I realized that with all the hard things I'd figured out in life, I didn't have to know how to do a bunch of complex things in order to build my kids a better life. The only thing I had to do was set a big goal and be willing to dive in and figure out how to do all the steps between today and that goal. And if I could figure out how to build a parrot house when I was 7, well, a parrot house, dog house, then I bet I could do something a whole lot bigger now that I'm a little bit older. So that night, I sat down and I just started Googling cheap houses. Now, this is the fall of 2007. None of us had heard of a smartphone. So right here between all the real estate sites that pop up, I found this brand new website called YouTube. Now, guys, that was the first time ever that we could go to one place and watch hundreds of videos about how to do something, like how to frame a window. And you already know what happened for every video I watched. 10 more videos popped up because that's how they get us. And it worked. Because before long, this brand new idea had settled in. What if, instead of buying one of these broken down houses on the real estate sites, the kids and I just buy all the supplies and we can put a house together ourselves? It'd be like a slightly larger than usual IKEA project. So I sat the kids down around our dining room table and I just asked them, if you guys could have any kind of a house, what would you build? Never ask your kids that. No, 11-year-old Jada wanted a hot tub filling her room. 17-year-old Hope, a replica of the Oval Office, please. 15-year-old Drew wanted a zip line out his bedroom window. And little Roman said we had to put a Harry Potter cupboard under the stairs. So you can imagine seeing my kids with these ridiculous over-the-top ideas. The only thing I could think is, why didn't I ask him this sooner? Because what I could see was the way that just the idea of building a house was already changing my kids. It changed the way they walked, the way they sat, what they saw as possible for themselves. My kids and I just wanted a better life. We wanted a safe life. And what better way to feel safe than to arm your small children with nail guns? I sat the kids down around our dining room table and gave them this big sheet of paper, and we drew out the blueprints for that house. I started going to banks and eventually talked one into giving me a construction loan. They called me a high risk. Don't know where they got that. So they only gave me a 9-month construction loan, which meant, well, I was working full-time, my kids are going to school, we had only 9 months to build an entire house or we'd default on the loan. Defaulting would mean bank takes the land I bought and however much we managed to build of this house. The stakes were high, the pressure was high with that kind of a deadline. And by then I knew how hard it was to build things. This was not going to be pretty. If you showed up today with some sort of a Disney version in your life of what it would be like to build a house with your kids, that's not what it looked like. What it looked like was ordinary you out there trying to figure out how to build a house, standing in front of these mountains of bricks and plywood and cement board and beams. It literally towered over me. And these pallets of glue and nails and screws, all of it just sitting out there in the dirt. Couple of bathtubs off to one side. And then turning around to this empty acre of land where I'd taken this lovely pink string to mark out the footprint of that house. Bless my heart. And my 4 kids out there, so small, no muscle, no skills, no idea how to build anything. But with so much hope in their eyes, I knew I had to just keep showing up out there until we figured out how to build a house. So I ordered 1,500 concrete blocks, and we figured out how to turn it into a foundation. And all of the water that we used to mix the mortar for those blocks, we hauled from my neighbor's pond out here, which it was December and January, so the pond is half frozen. We hauled all this water in 5-gallon pails. And we had to do the water that way because, guys, my plumber was a chicken. I mean, yes, obviously that plumber was me. And after we hauled all the water to set the blocks, I did figure out how to do the plumbing. Not just the water lines, but I did our sewer lines and also our gas lines. All the way to do the finished plumbing too. I put all the faucets in. We figured out how to frame windows and doors and walls. And the whole time we're out there, you guys, lifting these walls, we knew how ridiculous it was that we of all people were building a house. I mean, when I say the words construction crew, who comes to mind? I will bet you a muddy trench it isn't us. But there's no way that we were going to give up after everything we'd been through. These kids, they deserve to do something that was so big and impossible, it would forever change how they saw themselves. So even after we started running out of money, we kept showing up out here every day and cut corners by figuring out how to build our own countertops out of concrete, which was a challenge with this crew in training. This countertop training right alongside potty training. Then we figured out how to set our own tile, lay all of our own hardwood flooring, built staircases. And when the kids decided that the makeshift kitchen I'd made in the corner of the garage was inadequate, we built a kitchen inside, staining, I swear, some 500 square miles of raw wood and approximately 90% of our own body surface. We ended up with a kitchen that we could build. We could go in and cook things that were a whole lot better than the beef jerky, granola, and hose water I'd made it for everybody for about 9 months straight. Oh, and we built my favorite room in the entire world. Spoiler alert, my floor-to-ceiling wraparound library. And because every house needs just a little touch of magic, of course we had to build that Harry Potter cupboard under the stairs. You guys, imagine what this felt like. It was up to 20 hours a day, 7 days a week of brutally hard work. I had bruises over my entire body, every muscle screaming. And every day I came out here pretty sure that we might fail. I mean, the odds were against us. And I had to worry every day that this would just be another hard knock for these kids. Another one of my decisions, that they would just have to survive, that maybe it really didn't have what it took to get us out of this. But I woke up every morning with this picture in my head, this picture of what it was going to feel like when we succeeded. And that, guys, that's the fuel that drove me, that had me out here every morning at 2 a.m. still swinging a hammer and firing up an arc welder at sunrise. That's why there's nothing on this earth that could have stopped us. And that's how in only 9 months, we took that pile of lumber and turned it into Inkwell Manor, a 3,500 square foot house with 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. Did I mention we built a floor-to-ceiling dream library? Plus a 3-car garage, an enormous shop, and a 2-story treehouse. And you guys, every single day, my kids and I wake up surrounded by this proof that we can figure anything out. Because ultimately, it wasn't about reworking who we were. It wasn't even about becoming better, stronger, smarter versions of ourselves. It was about understanding who we already were and that we already had everything that we needed inside of us to build anything we wanted, to build exactly the life we wanted. Now, I didn't know how to build a house. I had no idea, but I knew how to cut a piece of wood. And I knew how to pound in a nail. And if I kept doing that over and over, I'd end up with a house. With that small perspective shift did for my kids and I on a random Tuesday, smack in the middle of Pop-Tart season. It was incredible and life-changing. And I want everyone to get there, to realize you can build exactly the life you want. Now, I know that every single one of you feels stuck about something in your life right now. So look back at the times that you started your own lemonade stand or fixed your washing machine or baked that quarantine bread. Because all of those things are proof that you can go out today and open a restaurant or start a business or recognize and solve the problems in your company, in your career today, that you can break records. I know how much easier it is to sit back and just say, well, someday. But I also know how much we beat ourselves up when someday never comes, day after week after year. The good news is, if a single mom with no construction experience, a 110-pound computer programmer, can build the house of her dreams, you guys can build your dreams. It's not too late to figure it out. So what I want to challenge you to do today is to break ground on your big project, some kind of a goal that lights up your eyes when you think about it. I want you to start and finish the first step. Now remember, you don't have to know what step 2, step 7, or step 601 will look like in order to just do the first step. And once you get to the end of that, once you figure out how to get all the way from start to finish in just one step, you will reaffirm that you are already the type of person who figures things out. And once you recognize that in yourself, there's nothing that can stop you. You can figure anything out. You can figure anything out. Now, I don't know what each one of you came here today hoping that you'd get, but here's how I see this. This is me picking up the hammer and that little cup of nails and passing it to you. And with all the grit and determination, with all the scrappiness that you've gone through those quarantine projects with, I can't wait to see what you build next. Go out there and just figure it out.
Thank you, Cara. You and your kids are amazing. What a story. Thank you for sharing with us in this unique way. Just as Cara did, our one-parent Scholar House residents are building a safe home for their children, and they're building a professional career. Today, you can help them.
I want to share a little bit with you guys about how One Parent Scholar House makes a difference, not just in the life of a single parent, but for their children and generations to come. Because back when I was a single parent and going through so many different things, I realized that the only way I was going to be able to take care of my children was by getting a college degree. So I started college and went all the way through college as a single parent. And that's how I was able to get the job I told you about as a computer programmer and systems analyst. And it's also how I eventually wrote a book and then another book. And I now have 8 published books. Guys, having that degree paved the way not just for me to make a better life, but for my kids to eventually also go to college. And it gave me the credibility to get the loan that I got to build this house. And it also gave me the confidence to try so many different things from the house to those books all the way to today, to get up on stages and also to work in Hollywood, where I'm now working to possibly host my own television show with my oldest daughter, Hope. It changes everything. Having that little bit of help as a single parent, it helped not only with our jobs, but to create careers that had a wider impact on more people, literally around the globe. So look at where you're at today, guys, and what you're able to do. See how you can give back, how you can share, and understand the massive difference that this makes in the lives of single parents.
Remember, you're helping 80 families here at One Parent Scholar House. You give them a home, excellent childcare for their little ones, and the support and opportunity to attend college. Please help our scholar families as much as you can today by making a donation and bidding on those silent auction items. You're helping 2 generations to build a better future. Thank you for participating today, and we'll leave you with these amazing faces and words.
I'm so grateful to be here. I'm very grateful. I can't wait to get into it and get to know everybody and get comfortable. I really haven't got to experience it fully, and it's because of COVID-19.
When I came here, everybody was just so nice and genuine, and I was just so comfortable here. I knew this was going to be the place for me and my son to stay. And ever since I've been here, I've been going to school, and I'm really confident about finishing and getting my career.
I don't know how I would have gotten through this situation without her, without Rachel, without Donna, my neighbors, Dax's teachers. I mean, they've all come together to help me as one to raise my child.
One Parent Scholar House takes a little weight off your shoulders. They provide nearly every resource you need to thrive. And I'm thriving. My grades are better than ever. I'm a better mom. Dax loves it here. He loves it. The daycare is on site. It's great. He loves his teachers. I am so blessed. I would not be where I am today without it. And I cannot show my gratitude enough. So I just want to thank you, everyone involved that helps keep this place open.
Thank you so much for this program. I'm very grateful, and thank you to the donors. I appreciate it. I can't wait to make myself and y'all proud and get my degree.
And he wants to thank you for the donations, because it just means a lot to us to have a place to stay, and for him to be watched by people that I really do trust, and for me to have time to get my education and not have no stress on me. It's just so perfect. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I cannot thank y'all enough. I'm so grateful, and he's so grateful also.
Thank you so much. I love my home. Amen.